So welcome back folks, this is Shardul Gavande from Ace Knowledge, and in this video we will see how spinners in Android work. So spinners are basically drop down list which we have in our website, but in Android we call them as spinners. So now we'll design spinners where we will be having a list of items, and on click of button, say by selecting a particular item and on click of button, the item which is selected will be displayed in the text view on our device. So let's start with the designing. So here let's take this as relative layout relative layout, and we'll just remove this text view by default text view and go in the design part, and we'll select spinner from here and just drag and drop it over here on the screen. Let's set its width as wrap contain. Oh, it is too small. Let's make it some big in its width. So let's go into the text and edit its layout width. Let's keep it to 150 sp. Yeah, okay, fine. It's quite good. So now let's take a button. Let's first complete with the designing part. Let's take a button, drag and drop it over here to the right side of spinner, and we'll give a button ID as show. So I would like to say that while giving a button, oh, what is this? It's weird. Well, yeah, the button ID has not been changed over here. So what I want to say is, while giving your name to your ID or your any GUI component, make sure that you give proper naming convention, because that is very important when you call your particular button or your list or your list views in your coding part. So you don't need to find it where you have placed which button is there in your login form or in your feedback form or any of your activities. So always make sure that you're giving the right naming convention to your particular GUI component, which makes it easier to code and understand also. So now let's give some text. So here Android colon text, this is by default text which has occurred, and here is the message or warning, you can say, as hard coded string button, which means that we have hard coded this text and written over here as button, or you can say as forcefully writing your text in this GUI component. Okay, so let's go into the string. So you can write it here also, but we'll prefer the standard way. Let's go to the string in the values, then strings. Now here this is by default string created on creation of your project, which is string name is equal to app name spinner. So this is nothing but a application name which occurs on the very top of your toolbar. So now let's create a string with name equal to show in double quotes, and let's give the button name as show. Okay, so now you can see over here in the main file, we need to call that particular string, android colon text equal to double quotes at the rate string show. So your show name show word will appear over here on your button. Okay, now let's take a text view. Where is the text view? Let's drag and drop it over here. Let's make some changes in its ID. We'll give it as txt display, as we want to display the selected item over here on the text view. So again, let's give its text as display in the back in the strings. Create a string, name is equal to display, and what do you want to display on the screen, we'll write over here display, and again call that particular string over here at the rate string display. So you can see over here a display word has been seen on the device. Okay, so now let's add now the items required over here in the spinner. So we'll go in the strings Now here, as we want multiple items, so we'll create a string array. The use of array is to store multiple data of same objects, right? So we'll create a string array over here. String array name, we'll give it name as colors, as we are storing the colors name. So colors underscore name is the name of the array, and under that items which we want to store. We have created a string array, and under that items which we want, the items are in the are the name of the colors, which blue, green, and red. So now let's call those string items over here in our spinner. So Android, here we have a new terminology called Android colon entries. Entries, which entries do we want in our spinners? So entries array at the rate array slash our array name, which is colors underscore name. So now we have passed our string array over here as colors underscore name. So you can see it over here, it is reflecting your items will be available over here now. So now let's start with the coding part. As after selecting a particular color and on clicking on button, the selected color must be displayed over here in the text view. So let's start with the code. So first, what all GUI components we have dragged and dropped, we first need to declare it over here above our onCreate method. So let's take text view. You can go in any sequence, it is not necessary that which GUI component you have dragged and dropped first, that only that only you should declare it over here. That is not the rule. You can start with any of your GUI component, but make sure that they are declared over here in your .java file. So text view, what was the name for text view was txt display. Text view txt display semicolon, then button show semicolon. This now here an error is showing a red mark, which shows that android.widget.button needs to be imported. So this class we need to import it, otherwise it will show a red color error and a button functionality won't work. So just press alt and enter, and automatically it will import that particular class. So you can see over here import, it has imported android.widget.button. Now same for spinner, we haven't specified, I think so, proper ID for spinner. So let's give it as items. Okay, so spinner items semicolon, again alt enter, and the package has been imported. Now all these declared GUI components, we will use them over here. Okay, so now let's start with button first, as we want to create a method for button, because without method the output won't come. So on button click, even buttons have always ears, they always listen to some activity. So we need to declare a button, define it, and then create listeners for that particular button. So starting with button, our button ID, which is show, equal to, we need to define it over here again. So that now here we are creating a reference for that button, as .java file is associated with its XML file. So we need to refer our button over here, make a reference for a button over here. So show is the ID, equal to button dot button find view by ID, r dot id dot what is a button name, which is show in the layout file. Okay, and semicolon. So here I'm commenting it as to get button reference. Okay, now we'll create on click listener, or you can simply say listener event for that particular button. So but show dot set on click listener. Okay, new view on click listener. So now a method has been created over here, public void on click method, which is the method of button. So now here we will write our coding part, our logic you can say. So now we'll give reference to the text view, as on click of button it should be displayed, the selected item must be displayed on the text view. So we'll give reference to a text view over here inside our method text view txt display equal to text view find view by id r dot id dot txt display. Okay, so this is nothing but reference to text view. Okay, now for spinner items equal to spinner find view by id r dot id dot items. This is reference for reference to spinner. Okay, now we'll create, now all we have done, now we have done with everything, the declaration part and the reference part of a GUI components. Now we need to access that particular button. On click of that particular button, the list item from the spinner must be selected and displayed in the text view. So we'll create a string over here as color, give it a name as color or anything you wish to give. String color equal to string dot value of means which value, it from where it should take the value of which GUI component. So value of spinner, or you can with the ID of the spinner, which is items dot get selected item. Now this get selected item is a method which will get the items selected from the spinner and display it over in the text view. Okay, so now this line will select the item from the spinner. Okay, now we need to display them on the text view. So for displaying it, we'll say txt display the id of text view dot set text, and we'll pass the color string color over here, so that the items are displayed on the text view. Here in the button, while saying as Android colon on click equal to your method name. What is your method name on click? So we just will write here as on click. Okay, so if we'll not call that particular method over here, then it won't work, it will give an error. So now let's run the program. So here's our emulator and a program has been loaded. We'll select a color, let's select blue, and we'll hit on this button show, and you can see that color blue, the word blue has been displayed over here. You can select any color, let's select green. Why it is happening? Let's select green and show. So we can see the selected item from the spinner has been displayed over here. So this is how spinner works. Thank you very much, and please do subscribe.